If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com. The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Attention Ditto Heads. Attention Bo Scouts.
Goes by the pseudonym Bo Snerdley.
It's time for the Soul of Excellence.
He is a radio host here in New York.
The Rush Hour is on the air.
Rush.
Now here's James Golden.
With her, but today I'm calling on every Senate Democrat to stop the madness, to let our country get back. In the greatest moment in the history of our country in terms of wealth, in terms of job creation, and in terms of investment coming in, these guys go on strike. It's really a shame. So I'm asking them to be smart. It's not working. They're getting killed in the polls. The public understands what they're doing. They're doing the wrong thing. And with that, I just want to say welcome to the White House.
That, ladies and gentlemen, President Donald Trump at the White House today, one of many of the stories that we will cover today, one of the big stories. Wow, there was all kind of pressure on Curtis Lee with a dropout. Curtis says he's not going anywhere, and if you try to bribe him, he's going to go to Alvin Bragg. And that social media all of a sudden has exploded with some of them. The smears are starting on Curtis Lee. And many stories pretty much begging him to drop out of the race now. He says he's not going anywhere. We have that cut, may get to it. There were other things happening in the news. The shutdown, day 21, was it 20? I'm losing track. Day 21, I think. Day 20, 21, doesn't matter. The days are going on. Mike Johnson had a lot of remarks to make, including citing the stories that and some of the arguments that I talked about yesterday. That story in the Hill where Democrats say, yeah, some of the Democrats, we're scared. We'd love to open the government up, but our own radical base would guillotine us, which is a little violent language there. Other stories that are popping up and dominating the news in certain quarters. One story, the White House renovations. Donald Trump putting a beautiful ballroom, a big, beautiful ballroom in the White House. For years and years and years, if you had state dinners, state whatever, the White House has had to put up tents, had to put up outside tents and all the rest of it because there's nowhere for large gatherings. Massive as the White House complex is, both the East and the West wings. So Donald Trump decides, okay, he's going to raise some private funds and put a ballroom up. They've begun construction, and in order to connect the two buildings, they had to take down some of the back part so they can connect what's coming with the White House. Liberals, including Hillary Rodham Clinton, are having a fit. Hillary Clinton, it's not his house. It's your house. And he's destroying it. He's destroying the White House. Hey, Hillary, whose silverware was it when you and Bill left the White House? Those of you that remember the Clinton years will know what that reference is all about. Donald Trump's not asking for American taxpayers to fund the new ballroom. It's privately funded. And it's going to benefit every future president and every administration, Democrat, Republican, or if an independent ever gets in there, whoever's in the White House will benefit from it. Instead of a thank you, what you get is this complete TDS breakdown on social media. All right. This is the fastest hour in American media, so forgive me if I have to run through these stories. Today is EBT Day here on Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. It is EBT Day, the number one popular story in the on the destination The Hill, the web destination The Hill. The number one popular story. Will SNAP benefits be paid in November? I talked about this yesterday. It is exploding over social media. Let me refer to, there's another story I want to get to too, by the way. What Americans think about rising healthcare costs according to a new AP poll, AP NORC. Another story I want to get into if we have time. North Carolina State Senate has approved a new congressional map. Gavin Newsom was having a cow, wrote a piece on X just bashing North Carolina as a state. They don't have time. Let me see if I can find it real quick so I can actually quote it, actually what he said. And what nerve this guy has. What utter nerve. Bashing North Carolina, the state of North Carolina, for their vote. And he says, let me see if I'm looking for it now, scrolling as we speak. If not, I can find it later. But I just thought it was pretty nervy of him to go after another state, given his track record in California. So, and here it is. He says, Newsom says of North Carolina, can't pass a budget, but can pass a rigged map. Can't pay their teachers, but can do Trump's bidding. Can't fund law enforcement, but can bend the knee to their dear leader. What a disgusting display of party over country. This from Gavin Newsom, who has violated the constitutional rule set down in, not constitutional, the voter law that was set in California, completely ignoring the law so that he can rig California's maps. A guy who has presided over failing education for decades, including LA Unified School District. A guy who promised to end homelessness when he was mayor of San Francisco, and instead it's exacerbated. He's the governor, still not fixing. They poured billions into it. A guy that's anti-law enforcement, who has set his state up in direct opposition to federal law on immigration, and now has his economy depending on illegality in order to thrive, if it's considered thriving. A guy that taxes his state so much that many people are fleeing and they don't care. And he has the nerve to say disgusting display of party over country. Their map is so rigged that Republicans don't have a shot at representation. The more Gavin Newsom talks, frankly, the more I dislike him as a politician. Everything this guy says is suspect. But it's EBT Day. So, ladies and gentlemen, Carlos, you ready for EBT Day? You don't know. He's like, what the hell do I care about EBT Day? I'm not taking EBT. Well, a lot of people are, and they're upset. Here's the story. As the federal shutdown endures for a third week, the Democrat shutdown, states have started to issue concerning warnings. Funding for food assistance is about to dry up. SNAP benefits for November won't be issued if the federal government shutdown continues, warned Texas Health and Human Services Department. Officials in Colorado, Illinois, Minnesota, Oregon, New York, and see, this might affect you, Carlos, even though you think it might not. You don't care, but New Yorkers are going to not get their EBT. And when hungry New Yorkers don't have their EBT and you're walking to work, this could affect you. Or unless you're riding in your limo. Pennsylvania, West Virginia, all of them issued similar warnings that the EBT money is running out. We're going to run out of money in 2 weeks, says Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rawlings last Thursday. The disruption of funds could impact 42 million people who get their bennies, or 1 in 8 Americans who rely on SNAP to buy food and snacks and soda. You know, that's the number one thing I've read. I haven't fact-checked it myself, but I've read that the number one purchase when you total everything up on EBT cards is soda. Now, I'm not sure whether that's true or not, but I have read it. Now, states could scrape the money together themselves to keep the benefits flowing, but they shouldn't be expected to be reimbursed, says Peter Handler, the Deputy Commissioner of Connecticut's Department of Social Services. Benefits could also come late or only to some families. The USDA has a plan that would allow it to prioritize November funds to the highest need recipients, according to the New York Times. So, now, usually when stuff happens in the country, there's a certain crowd, a certain culture that doesn't really care. They don't hear about anything. You talk to them about a news story, they don't know what you're talking about. Anything of significant interest. But this culture, this crowd knows the food stamps are threatened. And we have been hearing from them. Let us start, and ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to strain to pay attention to some of it. People are getting angry out there. Start with 13, Carlos. This is a quickie. It's only 10 seconds. This is a woman who found out that her food stamps are being threatened.
I just got the alert from my EBT app. November, no benefits. I got 7 kids. 7. What they expect me to do? We can't even buy cereal.
I got, in case you, let me translate that because it went by too fast for many of you. One more time. I wish we could slow it down, but we don't have that technology readily available here. But try to just slow it down yourself. It goes by fast, but I think you'll get it. One more time.
I just got the alert from my EBT app. November, no benefits. I got 7 kids. 7. What they expect me to do? We can't even buy cereal.
Okay, let's move on. 14.
And a PSA to them retail workers during this hard time of what's going on in the world. I really don't advise y'all to try to chase after anybody that's trying to collect them some food for their family as they're walking out that door with that cart, because you might around and don't make it home. What's going on in this world, I really think it's y'all best bet to let them people walk about that store with that and you mind your business. Because I promise you, when y'all get in my face, I'm going to flu-flock y'all ass. I swear for Jesus.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't understand that, let me try to translate it for you when she says she's going to flu-flock your ass. What she means is she's going to commit a violent act upon your person. She will flu-flock your ass if you try to get in the way of her stealing food. Okay, continuing with EBT Day 15. Let's keep it rolling.
I'm going to tell y'all straight up like this. I just got that text that the link is definitely cut the off for November. Y'all better stay the out of my way in these stores. I'm walking out with carts and I'm not paying for Trump, if you won't start looting, it's gonna happen. Before my kids go broke in this bitch like Jock, I'm gonna be stealing like it ain't no tomorrow. I am going to go in that store, get everything I get regularly. I'm going to bag my up, swipe my link card, as soon as that bitch say ain't no pending balance on there, I'm going to walk the out. And I'm going to have one of my cousins with me that'll punch your ass so hard you going to think a Jet 2 holiday hit your bitch ass if you think I ain't finna walk out that store. And please follow me to that car if you feeling froggy, bitch. You ain't going to make it back to your position at that Walmart store. I'm telling you. You want to take some link? Like I don't be taking already. Watch this. It's okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's only the beginning. Yes, word is out among the states. EBT cards may not be useful in November. And the news has spread rapidly.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Both Snerdley.
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
So let's be very clear. I am not dropping out under no circumstance. I've already been offered money to drop out. I said no. Distant from that, there were threats against Nancy and myself. I now have to have armed security with me, former NYPD officers. Never had that in my life. And so now in this last minute, there's this push to get me to drop out. I was trained as a young boy, like many of you, that it's one person, one vote. I was never taught at PS 114 or Builder C Junior High School in Canarsie that it's one person, one vote, but the billionaires end up picking who's going to be your mayor, and the political elite will make that determination. I trust the people.
If Curtis just chooses to drop out, he says he's not. What the New York Post reported yesterday is that polling suggested could be a 4-point race, which is within reach of Andrew Cuomo and stopping Mamdani. He is taking a stance here that could have, for a lot of people, let me just say this. I remember when, what's his face? Ralph Nader decided he was going to stay in the race, and that voters said was the determination in a Republican getting in the office. And Ralph Nader was never forgiven for it. That was the end of Ralph Nader as we knew him as a political entity. People don't forget this stuff. So, EBT afternoon will continue. We're just scratching the surface on the EBT stuff, folks. Again, number one story on the Hill today, and all over social media, the panic is spreading. What happens if I don't get my EBT money? There's other stuff in the news as well. So whatever you do, fastest hour in media, stay here with it all.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley.
This is The Rush Hour with James Golden.
Rush.
Today marks 9 months since President Trump has been in office and since he began his work to restore American safety for our families that live here. What he has accomplished for the American people is nothing short of extraordinary. We appreciate what he has done to make us safe again, to secure our borders, and to make sure that he's protecting our people. Since January, the Department of Homeland Security has arrested over 480,000 criminal illegal aliens. 70% of those individuals have criminal charges against them or have been convicted of those criminal charges. Across the country, we're making communities safer so that families can thrive and they can prosper and they can enjoy the kind of freedom that this country was established to provide.
I was telling some of my friends the other day, I watched Superfly. Maybe last year I saw it on one of those streaming channels. I saw it was around, so I put it on. And it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life when I looked at it again. I couldn't believe that a movie so crappy would have been such a big hit. It was a horrible movie. It was a horrible story. It was horribly acted. It looked almost cartoonish in some of the costuming. Of course, that pimp stuff was the order of the day back then. And, you know, truth be said, I had a few outfits myself that I wouldn't put on now. But I was like, damn, this movie was that bad? The music was great. Okay, so I promised more EBT. We'll get to it, but I do want to get to some of the other things. North Carolina State Senate has approved a new congressional map. Democrats like Newsom are fuming. The new map would likely give Republicans one extra House seat. The North Carolina Senate approved it just over a week after Phil Berger, the chamber's leader in Destin Hall, and the Speaker of the State House of Representatives said in a joint statement that they were going to take action to protect Donald Trump's agenda and safeguard Republicans' control of Congress. They're not hiding behind anything. They're putting it up front. This is why we're doing it. Democrats are decrying the move. It's shameful. It's shameful power grabbing. And protesters outside the rally that they held on Tuesday held a sign that read, "Cheaters. Y'all a bunch of cheaters." Bloomberg did a story saying it's a return to some person over there. I don't know whether it's an editorial or something, but they actually had the words Jim Crow in the headline. I refuse to pay the money to go look and see what the story read because I am not. But I just saw the headline of, okay, that's enough. It's like a return to Jim Crow. I wonder if they explained that Jim Crow was the Democrat Party. Democrat Party brought Jim Crow to America and kept it in America. You know what Jim Crow was, Carlos, when I say Jim Crow? You know what I'm talking about there? You shrugging your shoulders. You don't know. Okay. You don't care. Well, you would have cared if you were in America back in the Jim Crow days. You would have cared. You know why? Because Jim Crow was directed at people with your skin color. Jim Crow was segregation. And what Democrats, Southern Democrats, you're learning all kind of history here about America. Democrats said, because you are the color that you are, Carlos, that people like you and me couldn't drink at a public water fountain. We had to drink at one that was just marked colored. That you couldn't sit where you wanted to sit on a bus. You had to go to the back. That you didn't have the right to vote unless you paid and jumped through a bunch of hoops, including paying poll taxes and stuff. This is all stuff Democrats did. In other words, they made segregation legal. And the Jim Crow era also had lynchings that never got looked into. A bunch of people got mad at somebody black. Say, Carlos, you looked at a white girl, and they didn't like you looking at a white girl. And this stuff happened. Bunch of them just get together, string your ass up on a tree, just hang you. And that stuff was happening in America back then. Now do you care a little bit? Don't answer. Folks, this new generation, I'm telling you. But this was all put in by Democrats. Democrats, Jim Crow. So what? These people in Democrats in North Carolina saying, oh, gee, they want another seat. Now, in North Carolina, Democrats will still have 3 seats. It's a red state. If they squeeze a new seat out of it, Democrats will lose a seat, and they'll still have 3, and they're mighty mad. Gavin Newsom's doing the same thing out in California, except he's going to get a bunch. He's going to get 5 seats. And Republicans going to lose even more. Nobody cares. Do you know, up there, a little bit further north than you are, up in the good old Union states where Democrats are, Republicans in some of them states up there don't even have 1 representative. They have like 40% of the vote. They have nobody.
Yeah, like Massachusetts.
Like Massachusetts, exactly right. They don't even care. They like Republicans, so y'all kiss our behinds. We're not giving y'all a voice at all. And yet Democrats are beside themselves because they still going to have 3 seats in the red state of North Carolina. If voters approve. People actually have to vote. And who knows, if somebody puts up a great candidate, who knows how elections go? Just because the district has more conservative, more Republicans doesn't mean that a Republican is going to win. Just because a district has more Democrats doesn't mean necessarily that a Democrat is likely. But you could have a candidate that just excites the electorate. Somebody's threatening me. They say they have photos of me in some of my 1970 era gear. Yeah, I went through a few phases. I was a musician, so I went through my hippie phase, and I went total hippie. Okay, we covered that. Now, let's get back to, oh man, time's running out. We got to do more EBT stuff. I'm sorry, folks. We'll get to some of these other things. What Americans think about rising health care costs. I'd love to talk about that with Princess Diana. You know, Winsome Sears got heckled the other day, more racial heckling down there by them liberals in Virginia. These Democrats, I'm telling you, boy, these must be some of the old Jim Crow Democrats down there. Virginia Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears, she was at a football game when a fan at James Madison University football game yelled a racist comment at her. He told her, "Go back to Haiti." The only problem, she ain't from Haiti. It didn't matter to him, I guess. You know, Haiti, he think like Clinton, Haiti. Anyway, he told her, "Go back to Haiti." It's the latest episode in which Earl Sears has been targeted with racist invective. A protester recently confronted her with a sign saying that she should go back to use a segregated water fountain. Them Jim Crow Democrats. These are Democrats. I thought Democrats were supposed to love everybody. Just to be clear, I'm Jamaican, she said in a statement to Fox. But I have nowhere to go back to because America is my home. Every day I thank God I get to call this country home. Now it turns out that this fellow, this is a long story, that yelled at her to go back to Haiti, worked, this good old boy, he worked for a major defense contractor, Lockheed Martin. Worked as in the past tense. He's no longer working there after they were alerted to his antics. Go back to Haiti. Lieutenant Governor of the state, former United States Marine Winsome Sears. Okay, we did that. We got more on the budget. We can get to the shutdown. Shutdown is still going tomorrow, so maybe I'll just hold some of these shutdown things till tomorrow. We got some good No Kings reaction, too. You know, also, Donald Trump, Ninth Circuit Court ruled that he can send the National Guard into Portland, and the liberals are having a cow about that. They are some mad people. They just having cows about everything. Anyway, it's time to get back to the EBT portion of our show. Let us pick up, Carlos, where we left off. Let's go with 16, and if we have time, 17 is long, so let's just go 16 and 18 back to back. 16 and 18, two different people that found out their EBT may not be coming in November.
Just find out there's no EBT next month. My heart. There's no EBT next month. What is this pumpkin man doing, bro? Why the we gotta start on Thanksgiving? Are you dead ass, pumpkin man? It's like, yo, it's just like you gotta like. Why the there's no EBT next month? Why the November though? It couldn't be January, Feb, March. Why the does it have to be November? Why November? Yo. How the am I supposed to afford groceries? How the am I supposed to afford groceries if you gotta suffer? On Thanksgiving too. We were supposed to eat better today. Now we gotta starve today.
It's the fact that Trump think he doing something by not giving food stamps next month. Like bitches don't have purses and bags. Bitch, we're gonna eat, and we're gonna eat good on your dime, ho. Yeah, on the big corporation's dime. Because what? Food stamp ain't stopping no show. You wait and see how hungry people get and see what the happen. Bitch, let me tell you something. Them junkies that be on North Avenue is going to have a field day. They're going to make their money on. Okay? You ain't stopping. Okay? Because as long as I got a purse, a car, bitch, some car keys, my baby's just going to eat if I have to. I'm going to do what I got to do. Catch me if you can.
Okay, let us continue our exploration into the psyche of the American culture when it comes to food stamps, their EBT cards. That other person, by the way, was, just so you know, that guy with Novembre and all that business. He looks like he's about 20 years old, able-bodied, calls himself a social media influencer, able-bodied, complaining about perhaps not getting his Thanksgiving food stamps. He looks like he's 20 or 21. Next up, 19. And let's deal with this one.
You know what? Since they want to take food stamps away, I'm going to Walmart. I'm going to rank up any damn one, throw this right in the basket. I'm coming right about that bitch. Move, get the away. I'm not paying for a damn thing. Y'all got me up. I ain't getting a food stamp on EBT. Oh, watch this. Watch this.
Again, another working age man. Well, I'm going to steal the food then. I'm going to steal. 21. Let us continue.
When does it end? Bro, I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. Like, it has to stop. It has to stop soon. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, get me out of here. Oh, my freaking God. Ah! Oh, my God.
And cut number 20.
Let me tell you something. If you think that you better come up in here and steal from the Wally world because you ain't getting no food stamps, I'm going to call the police on you. I'm going to call. They're on speed dial. I'm going to call them expeditiously. I don't care.
Finally, someone. You think you're going to come in my store and steal? I'm going to call the cops. Well, good luck with that. You're outnumbered. Ladies and gentlemen, there's more. We could do this every single day, every single week. You notice two words you never hear from any of these people. Any of them. Two words that you never hear. Thank you. Thank you, American taxpayers, for paying for my food. Thank you. I'm sorry, Democrats shut down the government. We'll work it out until you can start paying for my food again. Thank you. You never hear that at all. Ever. James Golden, Snerdley. Fastest hour in American media continues. Don't go away.
Rush. This is the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Snerdley.
The Rush Hour with James Golden. Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Rush Hour with James Golden.
Goes by the pseudonym Snerdley.
Rush.
Now, here's James Golden.
It is not getting that much attention these days, but transgenderism is still making news and in the news. The Ragin' Cajun, James Carville, had something to say about it, his podcast with Al Hunt. Here's the Ragin' Cajun.
A candidate for governor of California named Betty Yee, Y-E-E, went on Piers Morgan show and said, and I'm quoting, this is what he put out, could be bull, but it's probably true.
Hey!
I think transgender female athletes are women athletes, and they should be able to compete. California governor runner Betty Yee says she would like to see a gender-neutral Olympics take place in
There's
Los
a lot
Angeles.
more.
What bull? Okay, and I want to take this, Betty Yee, from the standpoint of somebody that has daughters and somebody that my daughters were never particularly athletic, but I have a lot of friends that have daughters that play soccer, play volleyball, run track, play softball. You know what their parents don't want them doing for good reason is competing with males. So let's do this little experiment. Let's take the last Olympics. Let's take the 2020 last Olympics we had and take the winning female time or distance or whatever you can measure objectively and see where they would have finished if they were competing against males. Because what you're doing, you understand what you're doing, to try to some kind of cheap political point with a bunch of left-wing zombies is you're ruining the women that work their asses off, that compete. And by the way, there's been an explosion in interest in women's sports, and I give a good amount of credit to Coach Kim Mulkey, my dear friend, who's LSU women's basketball coach.
And to Richard
the last
Nixon.
thing they need to do is be competing.
Yeah, well, that's James Colt. Why wasn't he saying all that stuff when Biden was pushing this down America's throat, I wonder? Okay, Lulu was at number 1, 1967. I always love this song, and Lulu. To Sir with Love. Great movie, Sidney Poitier. The Star. James Golden, gotta go. May God bless, protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude for your being here with me, allowing me to be with you. God willing, we're back tomorrow. America's fastest hour in media. Until then, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy.
Download and subscribe
at BeBullish.com.